Okay, with that, I'll call this meeting to order. And I think we're all here, so there are no excuses for people not being at the meeting today. We have the adoption of the minutes from the September 22nd council meeting. Are there any errors or omissions relating to the September 22nd meeting or a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting? Kelly, please go ahead.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. We'll move on to item number 4, call for post-agenda items. Are there any post-agenda items? Seeing none, we will consider our agenda. Is there a move, Ellen? Motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Question period or notices of motion. I see none in the room here. How about online, Todd? Are there any?
Hello again. No, we have no questions in the queue.
Okay, thank you. Todd, do you have time to come down and give us our Ag Service Board update at this time before we go to our delegation?
You bet. I'll be right there.
Thank you. It's about 10:45, so we will go to our presentation from EcoBrooks, and I will suggest that we'll all introduce ourselves and have you introduce yourself as well, and ask everyone to speak up for clear communication at this point. So Neil, why don't you go ahead?
I'm Neil Johnson from Division 10. Welcome to the meeting.
Welcome, Amanda Philpott, Division 8, Duchess.
Good morning, Ellen Unruh, and I represent the area around the village of Rosemary.
Good morning, Greg Scriever, Division 5, Lake Newell Resort and Castles.
Good morning, I'm Kelly Chrisman, Division 6, the west side of the county.
Good morning and welcome, Arno Dirksen, Division 9, the gym area.
Morning, Matt Fensky, County Administrator.
Good morning, Holly Johnson, Division 4, Scandia, Rainier, and Bow City.
Good morning, Adina Scandrip, Division 2, Tilly area.
Good morning and welcome, Division 1, Dan Short from Rolling Hills.
Hi, I'm Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent area.
Morning, Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Hello, I'm Emrys Oliver. I'm the youth representative of EcoBrooks and also representative of the whole committee today.
And I'm Tracy Oliver, also on EcoBrooks.
Welcome. And we'll go to the back of the room. Ray?
Nice to meet all of you. Thank you.
Go ahead with your presentation, please. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. So this presentation was originally made for the City Council, so the wording will say to the City Council. Our request, we would like EcoBrooks City to consider expanding the committee. We did this to the City Council, and they then approved. Oh, so sorry. Just about got to eat it. Sorry about that. So this was originally presented to the City Council. We decided that since they approved it, we would then move forward and present to other councils like yourself. Our request, we would like Brooks City Council to consider expanding the EcoBrooks Committee in focus area to include the County of Newell. We propose that there be equitable financial commitments that suit both parties. This is approved by City Council. We'll approach the County of Newell to join the committee, which it was approved. We suggest that the committee be modeled after the Safe Communities Committee, which was highly successful and like repeated before. Oh yeah, really got to eat the microphone there. Which, like said before, would be equal or equitable financial commitments from both the city and county. We want this to suit both parties. I'm also a member of the Safe Communities Committee and can vouch for how helpful it is to have all communities involved. The EcoBrooks mandate. The mandate of the Environmental Advisory Committee is to explore policies, programs, procedures which would lead to the long and short-term enhancement, preservation, and protection of the environment in both local and global contexts. I would like to point out that this, as defined by the City of Brooks, includes both local and global contexts. Working together as a united group, including everyone in the county, would help everyone. EcoBrooks focus areas. Our 4 main focus areas that include much more are water conservation, energy sustainability, waste management, ecological sustainability. Our committee strives to create real tangible change to the community. Water conservation is a concern in all of our communities that we need to work together on. Even something as essential to life, it comes from in the county and not in the City of Brooks, which we are all very interconnected. I think that we're all aware of that. And there are many invasive species that are not well known in the area that can affect a wide variety of places. Our waste and recycling are dealt with outside of the city limits. We also want everybody to be aware of all resources that we have for alternative energy, waste management, and all of the 4 above places. Benefits of combined city and eco committee: greater awareness of environmental issues affecting the area, receive input from everyone, sorry about that, potentially increase services and resources to all residents. Benefits to the City of Brooks: more members with different skills and connections, greater number of committee and community members to help with various initiatives, and additional knowledge of what's happening in our surrounding community. Benefits to the County of Newell: an already established committee of hardworking people, access to more resources for education, community, and business, greater connection with the City of Brooks for their environmental initiatives. And I apologize for using just County of Newell. I'm now aware that the surrounding communities are not included in the name County of Newell, but that is implied when I say County of Newell. So I wanted to say some of the, oops, sorry about that. I wanted to say some of the initiatives that we have in EcoBrooks already. So one that we have is the Bee City initiative. The City of Brooks is designated as a Bee City through Bee City Canada. The community was instrumental to the city pursuing the designation, and we're involved in a number of initiatives to protect pollinators, including working with the City of Brooks Parks Department. The committee held their first Pollinator Week in 2022 with Philpott's Honey Productions donating honey for the event. This initiative is definitely something that would be beneficial to the county as an agriculture community in creating, maintaining, and/or improving pollinator habitat, educating community members about the importance of pollinators, and celebrating pollinators during Pollinator Week. And with water conservation, we have a water conservation rebate program that we hope to expand to the surrounding communities. The committee offers a water conservation rebate program to city residents who purchase a rain barrel or energy efficient appliance from local stores. $25 for rain barrel rebate, $50 for low flush toilet / washer / dishwasher rebate, and all rebates are credited to the individual's utility account. In 2022, the rebates total was $525. A water conservation rebate program could be specifically designed for this county, town of Bazzano, and villages of Dutchess and Rosemary. The EcoBrooks project for community projects was another one. The committee offers project funding for community projects. The projects must be an environmentally minded project with a positive long-term impact in the community of Brooks. In 2021, a business from Dutchess applied for this funding and unfortunately was not eligible due to being a non-city business. This program could be revamped to include the county, town of Bazzano, and villages of Dutchess and Rosemary. The EcoBrooks Leadership Scholarship. The committee sponsors an annual $1,000 scholarship to the students, post-secondary students. Students must complete a project that reflects one or more of the environmental pillars of EcoBrooks. Students who fundraise and access grants for their project may apply up to $500 in additional funding. This program could be revamped to include the county, town of Bazzano, and village of Dutchess and Rosemary, with more scholarships offered. I have a second part, but I promise I'll be quick. 2022 Farmers Market. This year, the committee participated in the Farmers Market to promote its initiatives, with many people stopping to learn more about what we do. We had quite a number of county residents stop by who were interested in the work that we were doing. About 2/3 of visitors lived outside of the city of Brooks. By expanding the committee, all environmental initiatives and programs could be promoted annually at the Farmers Market or any other venues held in our communities. 2022 Environmental Art Contest is another thing that we're really revamping this year. The committee is in the process of launching an environmental art contest in the local schools in the city of Brooks. For kindergarten to grade 6, students are to design a creator poster which addresses the theme of waste management, littering, and caring for our earth. For grades 7 to 12, of course, we expect a bit more from them. And they're to create a creative art piece which addresses waste management, environmental sustainability, as well as energy and water conservation. This contest involves all students who attend the local schools and could be held in every school within the expanded committee area. We were also reached out to by Elemental Energy, Brooks Solar 2 Community Benefits Funding Program. The committee is excited to participate in the Brooks Solar 2 Community Benefits Funding Program, which will see the committee administer the program on behalf of the county for environmental enhancement projects, events, or initiatives that improve environmental quality. Also reduce environmental degradation or increase awareness of environmental issues. This program is open to be eligible organizations in the county and city. And future programs and initiatives. By expanding the committee, new environmental programs and initiatives can be looked at from a regional perspective, utilizing resources and funding collaboratively. So we proposed one of many, many examples of what could be the composition of the committee. We could have 2 to 4 residents from the county of Newell. We could have equal numbers of residents from the city of Brooks and county of Newell, 1 city councillor, 1 county councillor, and open applications to all city and county residents is also another option. And any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. Are there any questions this morning? Neil and then Ellen, please.
I think this is pretty cool stuff, and I think you could really expand it to make it go as you described. You need Rosemary, you need Dutchess, you need Tilly, you need Bazzano, you need the county, and the big one that you didn't mention when you talk about water, without the EID, none of us are here. You got to get them on board. Water sustainability, protecting our water license. This thing's bigger than you think it is. It's great.
Thanks, Neil. Ellen, please.
What is the composition of the staff members? Are there paid staff members, and how many are there?
Sorry, I'm helping to lip read for Emrys. Emrys is going to read my lips to repeat your question, but I didn't hear the last part of it. You said the composition of the staff members, are they paid? And then the end part I didn't hear.
Yeah, just if they're paid members and how many there are.
We currently have no paid staff members. Oh, we have 1 paid staff member from the city of Brooks. 1 paid staff member, sorry about that. We have 1 paid staff member from the city of Brooks. Her name is Jenny Wallace, I believe. And other than that, is pretty much open. Oh yes, we also have 1 council member, Ray Jessica, who is here today. And other than that, everyone is volunteers.
Okay, thank you. Holly and then Dan, please.
So how long has this committee been going?
I believe that I've heard that the committee was established in 2016.
Ray, if you could speak into the mic here, that would just help us to get connected to everyone out in the.
Yeah, so you're asking about how long it's been in existence. It started out really as in Brooks Environmental Advisory Committee, and I was a member of that when it started, and that was at least 25 years ago. So the committee has been around for quite a long time.
I can confirm that I was born after it was started.
Okay. Dan, please.
There's a lot of good sounding stuff there. The first question I wrote down for myself were, what are the outcomes? So you'll come up with solutions. Do you present them to councils, or do you make resolutions? I'm just curious as to what comes out of the things that you do. How do you get that across?
So we have presented to the council in the past. We do continue to with the larger projects, but there are also some smaller things that we don't want to have to bring to them for every single little thing. With comes to implementing them, we really do a lot with the members that we do have. So we have people who will make posters for different things. We have people who will contact the different places in the county. I'm sorry, was there anything else to the question?
Can I add to that? So on the larger projects, we do approach city council. So EcoBrooks did approach City of Brooks Council to make it a B city. And so that definitely was involving council. We have talked in the committee in the last few months about possibly requesting some policy changes to the bylaws, things like that, that are environmental initiatives. And like Emra said before, the smaller things the committee does itself, sometimes in conjunction with city staff. For instance, the community garden was originally started by EcoBrooks or Communities of Bloom? Okay. There was a community garden that was started either by EcoBrooks or Communities in Bloom years ago, and kind of during COVID it went away. And so it was reinstated by committee members in conjunction with the City of Brooks Public Works. Does that answer the question?
Thank you. What is the current budget of the committee?
The current budget is $10,000 provided by the City of Brooks.
Thank you. Kelly, go ahead.
So you understand that the Bassano, Rosemary, and Duchess are separate entities. Do you plan to make similar presentation to those councils as well?
If those councils are interested, I would plan on making presentations to them. We did present to Bassano already. Sorry, I completely forgot about that. Does that answer the question? We did offer to present to Duchess as well.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Amanda, please.
So being that you're going to be your own committee, will you not be in Safe Communities anymore? Because that's where I met you the first time.
We're allowed to be in 2 committees.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Neil?
What exactly is your request? Like $5,000, $10,000?
It really can be decided later on. It could be decided now. It could be 5,000. It could be very little, really whatever suits the different people here best. We don't fully use all of our budget now, so we can use part of that for the different communities, but that would have to be, negotiated between different people.
Thanks. Thank you. Matt, and then Lynette, please.
Sorry, Mr. Dorkson, can I add to that?
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
So part of the reason that EcoBrooks hasn't used the $10,000 funding is because we've looked at smaller things. Obviously, when you're looking at only the City of Brooks, we think smaller. There's been several suggestions in the committee this year that are more of a regional initiatives, but had to be scaled back because we're currently only City of Brooks. So those initiatives would get bigger if we included the county, and therefore that budget would, I'm guessing, be used up because those initiatives would grow, therefore they would be a little bit more costly. Like it said in the slide, we're looking at, is the county and all of the towns and villages in the county, are they interested in joining EcoBrooks? And then what do you feel is equitable? For instance, in the Safe Communities, I believe the budget is $7,500. And I believe Amy Roman said that 75% of that comes from the city and 25 comes from the county. Like I said, I believe. That doesn't mean it's true. You can look to the city and the county for those figures exactly, but it doesn't have to be equal financial contributions, just equitable, whatever you think is appropriate.
Thank you. Matt?
I'm not sure which way to recommend council go on this one. There's a few things currently in motion that I think council needs to be aware of. The one being Lane's doing some work with Brooks Solar Elemental Energy on the Community Benefit Fund. So Elemental has committed $20,000 a year over the next 10 years that the county will be managing. It's been presented here today. It's proposed that the EcoBrooks committee be the committee to determine where those dollars go. So there may be some interest on council's part to appoint a member if that's where that agreement shakes out. I haven't signed that agreement yet. Lane's got a little bit of homework left to do. So take that into consideration when you're thinking about whether you want to appoint a member or not. Having said that, things are in motion. You may want to table a decision on the matter for the time being until we finalize that agreement with Brooks Solar on which committee will be the deciding party for where those benefit funds go.
Thanks, Matt. Lynette, please.
My question is just to get clarification exactly what you're asking for or what your vision is of what you would like to see. You would like to see a county councillor and 2 or 3 people from the county to be part of this? How big do you want this committee to be?
With my experience on the Safe Communities Committee, I found that having as many community members as possible gives us a great advantage because there are a lot of things that county councillors hear from others, but then we can hear it directly from, this is what I've experienced in my community, this is what I hear from the people around me, this is what I think that people will actually engage in these areas and what's needed. So I found that very helpful to have those people give their personal experience in the area.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to check, Mr. Fensky, you had said that the Solar 2 funding was in the air, but I believe, so it hasn't been signed yet, right, Lane? No? But the understanding that EcoBrooks was under the impression when we were asked to potentially administer those funds was that it wasn't part of our budget, that it was part of an outside project. So just, we weren't under the impression that if we were to administer those funds, that it was our budget. It's an external group of money that we might be able to make recommendations for, but that it would obviously go back to the county to do. We still think it would be beneficial for the county to contribute to the EcoBrooks in terms of members and staff members and other financial resources to do all of the other projects that we're talking about.
Thank you. Lane, please, clarification.
Just to provide some background information, with the development of the Brooks Solar 2 project, Elemental Energy, which is the parent company behind that initiative, has committed to making $20,000 available over a 10-year period for community benefit purposes. The strings that are attached to it, it can be money that's made available for environmental initiatives. There's some that's intended for emergency funding to help out families in need. There's some that can be made available for arts and culture purposes. There's a variety of initiatives. And what was proposed is that EcoBrooks would have an opportunity to receive a portion of that $20,000 annual allocation, and they would be able to allocate it to initiatives that align with Elemental Energy's parameters for the use of those funds. Now, we haven't finalized that agreement yet. There is things that we're still looking at, but that's the direction that is being considered for a portion of that $20,000 annual allocation.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Some things that are still undetermined or up in the air. Thank you for your presentation this morning. Thank you for coming in, and we will give this consideration, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is past 11 o'clock. Todd, can you hold off on your report for a few minutes? Cole Steinley is here to give us a report, a water report while we're on the discussion or the topic of water.
Thank you very much, Reeve and councillors, for the opportunity to give you the report for Newell Regional Services and the services we provide for the county. There's not a whole lot in my report for this month. I was hoping to have a little bit more information about the Lake Newell Resort lift station assessment done by MPE Engineering, but they've run into a few little snags, so they're a little bit behind. I was hoping to have the draft copy of the report on my desk prior to this meeting, but unfortunately, they're looking at about another week or two before I'll have it, and then I'll obviously discuss the draft over with Mark and his department and Jeff as well. So I'm hoping next time that I present to council that I'll have more information on that. What I will do is I'll update where some of the fall maintenance that we're doing. I mentioned it in my last report, but we have completed some of them. So the flushing that we do in the fall and spring, we completed the fall ones at Lake Newell Resort in Tilly. We worked in conjunction with Fire Chief Stewart. He was doing his fire hydrant flow testing that they normally do. So we found it beneficial to conserve water and do it as part of the flushing of the system while he's doing flow testing. And that way also we had our operations manager on site, and he's able to monitor statuses of pumps and everything like that on his iPad in real time, so that Stuart can see what type, that everything's working at the pump house that he's seeing out in the distribution system and stuff like that. So it worked well as far as an ecological saving standpoint, and as well as being able to work together and make sure everything's working properly. So that was completed in both the hamlets. We also did our yearly inspection and cleaning out of the manholes for the air release valves on the Lake Newell Resort sewage force main. And for those of you that don't know it, the sewage lift station in Lake Newell Resort pumps via a force main pipeline all the way to the old sewage lagoons on the south end of Brooks, the city of Brooks. So there are air release valves all along the way. I believe there's a little over a dozen of them, about 16 or so, if I'm not mistaken. And part of the operation and maintenance of that system is to check those air release valves. So that was completed. There's a few minor things that we have to look at. So we've got a couple little parts on order, but everything's working, but it's just part of the preventative maintenance part of that. And there again, we'll be cleaning out the 4 sewage lift stations like we do every spring and fall, and that's going to be coming up in the next week or so. So the rural water project, everything seems to be working as it should be. No major instances that need to be reported. So that's the extent of my report for this month. It's pretty short.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I read it overnight. Any questions for Cole? Kelly, go ahead, please.
Chemical question. At our arenas and curling rinks and things, they scrape the ice, they haul it outside for melting. And what is the product that is left behind after the ice melts? It's a white, filmy product. Would you know what that would be?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. They don't know either, and they're asking, have come to me, so.
Do you have an idea, Mark?
Mark has an idea.
Yeah, it's paint off the ice.
This is the
for sure.
white, yeah.
Or alkali coming out of the water maybe too, drying up when it dries.
The only thing that comes to my mind is the paint is usually on the bottom layer, and then they usually kind of flood the top, so they're not cutting down to the paint layer usually when they scrape and flood. So it could be some kind of residual coming from the ground up after you kind of put a bunch of water down, like alkali. I would just, it'd be totally speculation, because obviously that's not my line of work, but as far as it's just water, so it's our water, it wouldn't have a film or residual or anything like that.
Thanks, Cole. Any other questions? Seeing none, thanks for your concise report this month.
Thank you.
Let's go to our Ag Service Board report. Please, Todd.
Thank you for having me. I was glad I came early. I got to take part in some great presentations. If you have not taken or had the opportunity to help your local communities build their ice, usually this time of year, I absolutely recommend it. It's a great, great fun evening. Somebody usually has to spend a lot more time than what I do. I just go and help paint the ice. It is literally, I think it's a powdered paint. You mix it with water and you spray it on. It's great. Fun time. So just a quick informal update before you guys get on to important stuff. Emerson is really eating up a lot of our great time this year. Beyond the fact that we've had some after-season camping groups, we've had 12 or so individuals utilizing the park, and we've got a couple more coming in for this weekend and the hunting season, which we always enjoy that people get to utilize it. On the big project front, the septic is near complete. We're pumped about that. The water is near complete. We're pumped about that. Cell service, I just got a call from that guy when I was in the back there. I didn't answer it though. So that should be near complete this week as well. And the irrigation install has started. So we are really nearing the last couple weeks of this long drawn out construction process. So we're pumped. So hopefully next spring, it's going to look absolutely gorgeous. We're going to have people utilizing those sites, and it's going to be great. Anyways, I've said great a lot of times already, so we're going to move on. This is the time of year, for anybody that hasn't been here, this time of year we winterize literally everything. We live in Canada. It gets cold in the wintertime, so sprayers need to be winterized. Our facilities down in Emerson need to be winterized. Our irrigation systems all need to be winterized. So we do a lot of that. I believe that's $20 to the charity of the choice, food bank. Thanks, Neil. Little comedic relief. All right, outside of that, we'll get some minor projects coming up this fall as well. We're going to remove the structures at the property that we purchased last fall for the truck route. So we were set to do that at the end of August, and then we hit a snag with the natural gas producer or provider out there. So anyways, now I think that's just about done, so should be there. And then seed cleaning plants is starting tomorrow. So we only have 3 seed cleaning plants. Go out and do a quick inspection, make sure they meet the requirements to operate their seed cleaning plants. And that's, it's a fun little process. And just so you guys know, we have 3 amazing seed cleaning plants. It's never been a question in my entire career here. So, but it's a requirement under the Weed Control Act to do that and give them a little certificate saying they can operate.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions? Kelly, the question.
Just maybe touch on October 25th, planning for the trip to Crow's Nest Pass. Any updates there?
We were able to secure some lodging for the night before, and I'm going to say it's actually in Blairmore instead of Pincher Creek. Matt had some experience with a hotel there, so that was lucky. Yes, so we're all staying in one ATCO trailer. We do have rooms booked for everybody. I know Lynette mentioned she was not able to go the night before. So I'll probably stay back and drive with Lynette maybe, and everybody else can go. Just then we only need 3 vehicles instead of 4. We'll just leave bright and early in the morning. It'll be a great long day. But the sad part is Lynette's going to have to talk to me for 6 hours that day. So one of us is going to be sleeping. I'm hoping it's not the driver. But anyways, so I think we're all set. In my opinion, it is a 3-hour drive. You probably want to get there at a reasonable hour. I've never been to Blairmore, I don't think. So I'm going to guess probably leave at like just around supper time, 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay, thanks, Todd. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. It was a great report. Let's move on to our planning and development report, which we have printed for us. Maria, please.
I wish P&D was as exciting as Ag Services.
We're on the edge of our seats.
Yeah. So in planning and development this month, we have been working on our municipal development plan. We did a survey that went out to the public from the 29th of August to the 19th of September. There were 115 participants that responded to the survey, and I think that's pretty good numbers. We did an online survey. Our intern Zachary posted some information around the hamlets, and he also attended the farmers market. So now the team is working on putting together an engagement summary to present to council, and then the next step will be to take those discussion points from the visioning session that we had with council, with our technical team, taking those survey results and then creating some goals that align with what we have heard. We're also continuing to work with the City of Brooks and ISL on a growth study. This has been taking a lot longer than we anticipated, but hopefully we will have a completed draft soon that we can discuss with council and use that to eventually update our intermunicipal development plan with the city. We had 4 subdivisions approved in October, 1 for agriculture purposes and the rest for residential. Development permit numbers, they really fluctuate from year to year and month to month. It's pretty hard to tell, how things are going to go. But usually early spring and fall is kind of our busiest time, and that's kind of right now. So we're just kind of wrapping up. So that is good. The Safety Codes Council was in this room all last week auditing our safety codes procedures, looking at our quality management plan and ensuring that our permits are being inspected and issued according to the Alberta Safety Code standard. So we had an exit meeting. In my opinion, there wasn't any major red flags, but I guess we'll see when we get the final report. It was actually really good to have them here. We learned some things and were able to discuss some things that we saw from the county point of view, and it was a good experience. We also have been looking at road closures and options for road closures and farmers that are utilizing those roads. So we've been talking to our neighbors to see what they're doing and how we could maybe speed up the process, because right now Alberta Transportation needs to approve all road closures, and that takes a really long time. So we were hoping that we could figure out a way to speed this process up, and unfortunately it doesn't look like we are able to. But we were trying, so we'll see. We'll keep looking at some options. That's planning and development.
Thank you. Very exciting. Any questions? Holly has one.
As part of the road closures, are you looking at the farmers who are using the county road allowance at this point to close and lease those, or you're looking at the ones that are coming forward to you?
That's a good question. So there was a project that had been started because people who are using the road allowance and encroaching on the road allowance with irrigation, it's been flagged as part of the risk management or risk, yeah, something to do with risk in the county. And so that is something that is on our radar to continue. It's really just a time trying to find the man hours to do that. So as we get applications for subdivisions development and also as we get notified by the EID, we have been trying to work on getting those kind of up to speed. So it hasn't been to the extent that it was in the past, but we hope to ramp that up as soon as we find some man hours.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your report, and I will look for a motion that we accept the Planning and Development Committee report. Lynette? All in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Maria. Moving on to item 9.2, policy review, 2022 PAD 055 tangible capital assets report, please.
Thank you, Council. So I just thought I'd provide you guys with some background information on the tangible capital asset policy and kind of why this one was selected for review here. So the TCA policy guides how we record, value, and depreciate our assets. One of the more important aspects of our TCA policy is the useful life schedule that's located at near the back of the policy there. So useful life is how long the county is going to hold the asset for. It's a very important schedule as it guides kind of our budgeting and replacement timelines. On top of that, it's also ensures our depreciation timelines line up so that we're putting a correct amount of money away into our surplus policies there. So this policy was triggered for review as part of our asset management improvement plans. When doing our improvement plans, we noticed that a lot of our assets didn't actually follow the previous policy's timelines. So we thought we should probably update the schedule to make sure that it's following correctly. On top of that, we went ahead and just added some more clarity on the policy guidelines there just to provide some transparent information on our accounting practices taking forward. So I don't know, I'll open it up to you guys for any questions or comments that you guys have on the policy.
Thank you. We've seen the report. Are there any questions for Dustin? Holly.
Sorry, I found this actually quite interesting. So I have a fair number of questions. I know that's probably surprising, but so when you're talking about, and some are, can you give us some concrete examples of betterment?
Yeah, so some examples of betterment would be, for example, like repaving a road. So our paved road, if you would go ahead and repave that, we would add onto that useful life schedule there. That's considered a replacement, a betterment up to the asset there. So.
Would it include like rebuilding a motor on a grader? Like, is that a betterment too?
That's a betterment. So depending on what we consider that would add to the useful life, or it'd just be a betterment to the asset. So.
Okay. When you talk about using depreciation, is it always straight line, or do you play with the class 5s because you can with the tax laws? No, it's always straight line.
Always straight line depreciation for my records.
Okay. And how was expected useful life calculated in terms of like this? The trucks were generally at 8 years, where I know some of them are leased and they're traded off much sooner. So was 8 a general number, balancing all the trucks out in terms of leasing and keeping longer?
Yeah, so 8 is kind of a general number besides those ones that we do with enterprise there that we have for the year. We try to hold on to those trucks. This is always just guidelines. If something happens or if decisions are made, we can replace them sooner, but 8 is a general practice that I believe the county would like to hold to. So that guides our depreciation, so we're stockpiling the money.
And was this policy come up as part of the asset management training you guys are talking about, or just you triggered it yourself, or is it?
So when we went through the asset management plans, there's numerous improvement items that were listed. One of them was to align our useful life with our previous or new policy here. It was noted that some things weren't aligned. Like the one example here, I think the graders have been switched to 10 years for a couple of years here now. So we just had to go ahead and update the policy to align with kind of what the directors and the managers have been doing. So.
Kelly, please.
I'm prepared to make a motion if you are willing to accept, moved as recommended.
Thank you. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion as made? Thank you. That's carried. Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to item 9.3, Shortgrass Library System. Again, we have a report from Mr. Johnson, our Director of Corporate Services, that is in our package as well. Go ahead, Lane, please.
Thank you. Some good questions asked on the preceding topic. On a personal level, if I had an 8-year-old truck, I would consider that brand new, not worn out. Anyhow, Regional Library, they have submitted their annual budget. Councillor Kopp might have some additional information she'll want to chip in when we have the discussion here. But there's two different aspects to the budget for the Regional Library. One is their operating budget, and then the other is the materials levy. And what we're required to do is have council approval given to the per capita levy, which covers their operating expenditures. Right. I think that it's quite remarkable, given the inflationary state that things are in right now, that the library is coming in with a very nominal increase in their budget. And I know that this follows on the heels of no increase last year, so I think that they've done a commendable job in keeping things under control as best as they can. But we're asking for council approval of the per capita levy from the Shortgrass Regional Library System.
Thank you for that. Are there questions or a motion, please? Holly?
Having been on the library board, I would like to move that the 2023 and 2024 municipal per capita levy submitted by Shortgrass Library System in the amount of $495 for 2023 and $513 for 2024 be approved.
Thank you for that motion. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you for your report, Lane. Moving on to Councillor Payment Sheets 9.4. Is there anything to discuss there? Any questions or comments or a motion to accept the Councillor Payment Sheets? Neil and then Kelly, please. Oh, you made the motion. All in favor that we accept that, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Requests for functions of council. Are there any? Seeing none, we'll move on to our Director of Municipal Services, who is not with us at the moment. Oh. It rang twice, didn't it? Mr. Mark, please.
I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm late. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be in front of you again. A few things on the agenda for us today anyway. So my monthly report, you've all been capable of reading it. So try to stick with the conciseness of everybody's report prior to myself. We got our new enterprise fleet trucks. They're rolling into service as Fleet Services rolls them out to us. I have a meeting with Kathleen Ellischuk today from Enterprise, so we'll be discussing the resales of the 7 or 8 that are going for resale and see where those markets are at, as well as talking about continuing with the program and getting reorders in for the order banks. Grader operators continue doing their thing. It hasn't been too bad. We've got very little moisture in the past here, but they're continuing to do their thing and address washboard and road conditions as need to be, as well as we're preparing for the winter season because it's getting cool and crisp in the mornings and the leaves are starting to fall off the trees. So that's what we're doing. Truck drivers successfully completed the gravel resurfacing program. Went extremely well. The reduction in the stockpile effort for this year didn't have any negative effect on us completing the program, obviously, because we're done early. So we're looking to make some further movements that we'll address with you when we get into budget discussions. Additionally, they did take on some additional work and whatnot, but things are going well. Helping with Emerson Bridge Park campsite graveling, things like that. And of course, we're ramping up for the 2023 gravel program as well as because the assessments are being done now, so we have the plan in place. Every year, plow truck drivers go through training, so they actually, the first time this year was to sit in an actual simulator that was brought into our yard and put them through that training. And then yesterday they just completed an in-person, in-classroom and in truck training as well, which both instances were received extremely well, and operators gave good praise for what they took out of those sessions. Range Road 14-3 is like the last construction project that we have for the year. That is going to be starting next week, so that's good news. I also want to identify that the Rolling Hills truck parking lot is to start next week. The county will be providing the gravel for that project, so we're reducing some contractor prices on that. Otherwise, it'll be all contracted services that strips the site and builds the site for us. You parked in the parking lot this morning, or you got dropped off in the parking lot this morning. Happy to announce that they completed 1,300 lineal meters on the pathway yesterday with asphalt. They started this project a week and a half ago, so that's how quickly it's been moving. And I do fully anticipate, as per my earlier email, that they will be done the asphalt today, unless there's some unforeseen act of God that happens. And then it'll just be down to the re-landscaping, tying things in and getting things seeded and fences put up, just like we do at the end of every other project. Additionally, what do we got? You can see that I've got information in there about the refund checks issued on the water project from phase 1. And that's all closed. Registration is closed on phase 2 of the County Newell water project. And Lynette, maybe you drove in on One Tree Road today. We did widen out the 90-degree speed curve closest to Deer Run and Sagebrush Estates to help with some of the longer and larger truck turning movements there, because they always seem to find the ditch. Personally, I don't anticipate that they're going to change their ways. They will still find the ditch because everybody just likes to cut corners. So it doesn't matter what we do, it still happens. But other than that, you can see that we've done a lot of training. We've got some other staff trained in winter supervisor program certificates and stuff. So Jolene's done that, and our operations supervisor, and everybody else has been trained in things that are summarized in the report. The municipal load report, one update for you on that. September numbers were 197, so we're 9% above where we were last year for predicted year end with those statistics. So a little bit more movement with over-dimensional overweight loads throughout the county. We are sitting right on about a 5-year average trend right now with our numbers. So we're definitely below, but we're doing all right. And I guess if there's any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? Holly.
2 questions. One, where is Road 14-3 that you still have to do?
14.3 is just north and east of Brooks, going from Township Road 20-0 to Township Road 19.3.
Like that helps.
Where it's always been, right?
Yeah, where it's always been. Yeah, it's on the grid, like, geez. You are looking a little bit north and east of where the John Deere dealership is. Continue that.
That I understand. Thank you.
East and then
Thank you. I need a
going north.
picture. Okay. And secondly, when you're looking at grading, I know you generally do a consistent schedule. Do you consider in the fall which roads are heavily used by potatoes, sugar beets, grain, that kind of thing? Yeah, the ones that are getting really beat up right about now.
I can tell you that for those individuals that have a relationship with our manager of operations and communicate with him, we do try to help those things out. But because agriculture moves around so often from various fields, we can't. Like, they're just everywhere. I might have just fixed it. I'm pretty certain I fixed it. It's just the microphones and the volumes. So that's the very challenging thing on all of this. And we are going to talk about it more at the Committee of the Whole meeting that is coming up, because I need to understand what council expects on a level of service for road grading, how we're going to define it, how we're going to tend to it. And much like agriculture, if a drilling rig moves into a region, they can have a frac that goes on or whatever, and there can be like 400 trucks in a week. Well, what are we supposed to do? Reduce the level of service on other roads and get behind in our rotation to, right? So I look forward to that discussion with you later in the month.
Thank you. Mark, any other questions or a motion to accept the municipal reports? Adina, please.
I move we accept this report.
Thank you. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Mark. And we will move on to our tender award for the County of Newell Water Project Phase 2. I think we have presentation of that tender. Zachary, please.
Yeah, I will be replacing Jeff today.
Right.
So, so yeah, for the County of Newell Water Project Phase 2 Contract 1 tender award, back in early July, County issued a request for pre-qualification to identify competent contractors eligible to bid on the Phase 2 construction contracts. After ranking the submissions as identified in the RPQ, 8 contractors were qualified, and tender for the construction of Contract 1 was issued on September 8th and closed on the 27th of September. Contract identified servicing 126 locations west and north of Brooks, and installing 20 kilometers of high-density pipe. 7 bids were received by the county. So the recommendation, based on the letter that was sent by MPE, is that the council award the tender for construction of the County of Newell Water Project Phase 2 Contract 1 to Syncor Directional Drilling Ltd, the amount of $2,384,340.
Thank you. Any questions or a motion? Go ahead, Dan, please.
I got a quick question. I don't know if you can answer it or not, but when they submit their tenders, did they just give you an amount, or did they give you an explanation as to how one bid can be 2.3 and the other can be 4.2? Those are crazy discrepancies.
Okay, everything's done on a schedule of quantities. However, that is business intelligence proprietary to the bidder. So that is nothing that gets submitted to council or the public, because then next competition, everybody knows how somebody bid, and that's not how this works. And so therefore we get to see the numbers. You don't get to see the numbers, and we bring the recommendation based on the total price of the bid.
And the MPE recommendation is enclosed, as we've seen as well. Holly, you have a question?
Is the amount of this bid in line with what we're expecting to be for costs?
This wasn't my RFD, although I have my name saying I reviewed it. I'm not 100% sure what MPE engineering had as an engineer's estimate, because generally we include the engineer's estimate versus what the bid was and say whether it's in line or not. And I've got my phone, but I don't want to waste your time, but I see somebody else is looking for me.
Kelly and then Ellen, please, go ahead.
So my question is not about numbers. I'm getting asked a lot, and just while you're searching for the answer, I'm getting asked by a lot of people in the community what the direction is or what the plan for layout is on this project. Is that public? This is Division 5 and 10, I believe, correct?
Yeah, so like, this is different than what we've dealt with in the past, right? Because a lot of the laterals or the main lines are in place where all we're doing is connecting up more residences. So I don't, my expectation is that wherever they can gain access to the land is where they're going to go first. And whether they jump around from various areas or whether they strategically work it on a clockwise or counterclockwise or south to north, north to south basis, I don't have any of that, unfortunately. Jeff may have more information, but to say who's getting tied on first and who's last, I can't answer that question at this time.
But it is Division 5 and 10 at this point, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Ellen?
Yeah, just curious where Syncor directional drilling is located. Are they local?
Seriously? No, I don't have that answer. I'm sorry. And I'm not 100% certain, but just looking at the numbers of the bid to the number of people registered, the average cost, if everything goes as per the bid, is $18,923 per service. Don't forget, we had additional costs prior to because we had to run all those main lines, and I believe back then it was between $34,000 and $38,000 a service. So it's hard for me to say, but I would have to have the engineer's estimate to tell you whether this is in line. But I'm guessing it's you ask about the spreads on those numbers, Councillor Short. Some people are not necessarily counting on getting the award, but maybe they're the only bidder. They're bidding in risk for penalties on site occupancy days. They're bidding on, they might have to buy more equipment. They might need more labor to meet timelines, and it's all the margin of profit on things. And we see that from paving projects to gravel road to you name it. That's how we see things. And this spread is not irregular.
Thank you. Any other questions or, oh, Lynette, please.
This one, are we looking at delays on things that you need, like products and things to do this? It seems like everything is delayed all over the place.
Supplies.
If council remembers, we did approach council and talk about the pre-order of the HDPE pipe. So that is in manufacturing stage. So there shouldn't be any delays in anything because I'm not aware of anything to date that's been identified as a delay.
Thank you. Kelly, please.
Not a question, a motion to approve as recommended.
Thank you. Any further questions? Matt, you had a comment or a question?
So I can answer the question about is this coming in close or not close to the original estimate. So the original estimate on the 732 potential services, MPE advertised an average cost of about $20,697 per service. You're coming in today at $18,923.
Which is a ballpark number because it's a specific area. It's not the whole thing, but it's at least in that ballpark. Mark?
And Syncor is out of Colehurst.
Okay. Thank you. Technology is great when it works. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion to approve the tender, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. We are down to item number 10.4, a tender for dust abatement. Terry, please. Thanks, Zachary. Good to go.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
This is one of our, I guess, one of our annual tenders, or not annual tender, tender that we put out every 3 years. So the last time we would have tendered out our calcium was back in 2020, oh gosh, in 17, 18, 19. Anyway, so we did put out a tender for supply of calcium for our dust abatement program for the next 3 years. So that includes 23, 24, 25. I advertised it about a month or better ago. It did close last Thursday, so September 29th at 2 p.m. And I quickly opened it up, looked at it, and talked to Ariane and Matt, and we did sneak it in on the agenda here so we can get this all kind of wrapped up. Little bit of history. Anyway, there's two policies, if you read on there, that are relevant to this. Of course, our dust abatement residential and our non-residential programs. Just a little bit of history on it. In the past, I guess prior to the last tender, but I think traditionally we've always tendered out calcium based on percentage. So basically we requested for price for tender, and it was usually a price per liter. And then what we would say, we would like it to be at least 32% product in it, right? So it'll have 32% either calcium or magnesium in it, and that's basically the product in it that ties up the soil and keeps your dust down. So we did that for quite a few years, well, probably for 10 years at least that I can remember. One challenge is with it that some people that produce calcium or pump it out of the ground, they weren't able to make these 32% product they were asking for. So did a little bit of research. Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, how they would tender the product, they would tender it as flake equivalent. So bringing everybody down to like a standard. So basically they dry it down and do a calculation on it. And it's called a 77% flake equivalent. So this allows people that have higher product or lower product to provide a price and be in the game there. And of course, get us some more competitive pricing. So did it 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I have numbers down there. Anyway, we did close the tender. I only had one submission, and that was from NRSC Minerals. This is basically a Saskatchewan company that purchased the calcium well just north of us, about a half a mile. So a little bit surprised that we only got the one submission, but that's all we opened up. So it was fairly an easy decision on our behalf anyway. The product they were providing is called a Brooks 32. I guess a little bit comparison what we've done in the past. What they did is when we actually tendered out the product in the past, typically our prices per calcium are right around that 18 to 22, 23 cents. We're kind of a bit of on an increase. When we moved it down to flake equivalent, for example, so our last tender in 2020, it was 374 and change per ton. And then the following 2 years were $375 per ton. So that's what we paid in 2021. And of course, this year we paid $375 per ton. This one came in for the next 3 years at $326.47 per ton and $338 for 2024 and 2025. So a little bit cheaper than what we've been paying. Definitely a lot less than we have in the past years. So I believe that, well, I know why the main reason is most of the calcium comes from northern Alberta, so Calling Lake around that Edmonton area and stuff like that. This product, of course, just comes from down the road. So definitely one of the major costs to bring in the product to Brooks is transportation. So for example, in the past, if we were running 2 crews, they would have 2 trucks here that spray calcium, and I think they would run anywhere from probably about 6 tanker trucks. Big B-train trucks would be starting out early in the morning, bringing the product down to us and feeding off the nurse truck. So now, even this year too, you can get away with probably 3 trucks and just shuttling it back and forth, early shifts and stuff like that too. So a significant time for people sitting and delivering the product. I mean, these trucks run close to $200 an hour to deliver the product. So I believe, well, I got a pretty good hunch that that's why the prices came in pretty good this year too. So a little bit on the Brooks 32 product. We have been using it on smaller projects probably for the last 4 years, just trying it and using it out. And it does seem to work satisfactory compared to any other products that we've used. This year, because transportation costs went through the roof, I think at the time they're delivering product, fuel was around $1.80 to $2 a liter. So the company that did supply us product this year, they did actually purchase product from Brooks, and we used it in our program this year. And again, I think we've seen satisfactory results. It didn't see any difference on what we've seen in the past. So yeah, that's about all I had for that. So I guess we're just looking for from council there to award the dust abatement supply for the 2023 to 2025 season to NSC Minerals for the value of $326,427 for next year and $338,000 and $130 for 24 and 25.
Okay, thanks, Terry. Some relatively good news relative to cost. Dan, you have a question?
Yeah, you said it was, this product was used in 2022. Was it used exclusively or was it used in trial portions? Because I've had some people say they weren't happy with their dust abatement this year, and I've got it myself and I'm quite happy with it. So I'm just curious as to, is that the areas you're using this product isn't actually as good as the other product, or is that just another coincidence why some are better than others?
We did, I think when we started the program, I think it was only the first day or two that they brought product in from up north. So it would have been around the Brooks area primarily. So around Brooks and then a little bit in Patricia. After that, it was solely Brooks products. So it worked out to like 92% of our applications were done with the Brooks product, which would be everywhere basically outside of Brooks. So yeah, what we've seen in the past, calcium, it's a strange how it can go down and work so good some years and some years not. Even from road to road, it's always been a challenge on that one to get consistent results.
Thanks, Mark. You had a comment as well?
Yeah, because this isn't the first question being asked of us about dust abatement and consistency amongst the product. And I haven't got all of my summary done yet. In fact, it's been slow to get started. We don't gravel surface or resurface every single location every single year that's going to be treated with dust abatement. So the team picks up a number of them that we know all that's left is a bunch of fines. You need some of that larger aggregate and stuff to help bind things together and lock it in. This year, Terry used a lot of the product coming out of the ballast pit, where some councillors questioned, is that pre-treated gravel or what is it? It's just the soil, the coal, the different coloration, which I've addressed with council in the past. So between soils in the existing road bed, whether we've resurfaced the area to be treated with dust abatement, how soon after did rainfall accumulate on that? Did we get things closed up quick enough? Didn't we get things closed up quick enough? There's chemistry in the product itself, but then I have to say there is still the environmental factors and things that are often beyond our control. And I don't have 100% explanation because there are so many factors that apply to this. Many times we win. We have many times that we lose as well, just as Terry has said. I can state that from the day that I started here, our finished product is probably 100-fold better than what it was. We never used to pack locations. We used to leave that to the residents to pack it all down. The office used to be inundated with phone calls about somebody's paying to wash this stuff off my vehicle. Heard somebody swore in House of Commons yesterday. I'll refrain from that today. We're providing a better level of service behind it, in my belief, at a much better cost than what we have been in the past. It's controlled. It's not running down the ditches, because we have had years when the suppliers were running like 10 liters. We run about 2 liters per square meter now, not 10 liters per square meter. And it literally was running down the ditches. And you could see that because the vegetation would die. But I don't have a finite thing to tell you as to why this individual's does not look or act the same as somebody further up the road. It's just that.
Thank you. Dan, you had a follow-up or?
This is, the feedback is killing me. Anyways, the other question is, if we're looking at for the next 3 years, the prices are where they're at, which is actually lower than we've had, then our price to our ratepayers should remain the same. Will it drop or will it just remain the same? It should not climb, right?
We have never looked at reducing the cost unless it's like so significant that we can justify it and that it's justified to stay down there. Like if we changed our level of service and significantly reduced costs and then slowly started building up again over time, the savings here, we're probably still making up on some lost ground in historic years and stuff, but we're trying to manage that. And we do try to watch like a 3 to 5 year average on where those costs are at before we make a recommendation in the schedule of fees to adjust things for you.
Thanks, Mark. Oh, Holly, you've got a question, and then Kelly.
2 questions. Do you see a difference between calcium chloride and magnesium chloride when you're applying it? It's the first question. And secondly, you saw successful results in 2022. Now, how do you define success? By how many complaints you get, or what you think it's applying? What's your scale?
Mag chloride, the nature of that product, I mean, a lot of counties will use it. They use it a little bit for dust abatement, but mag chloride is used more for deep soil stabilization. So they'll go into like a road. I mean, for example, that road down in Scandia, that was definitely in the back of our mind there, where we take mag chloride and incorporate it into 6-8 inches, and that product is primarily used for deep stabilization. Works better than calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is not a good deep stabilization product, so this is used strictly for dust abatement, right? So a lot of counties, because they do a little bit of both, they will just use mag chloride for both. So for us, we've always stuck to calcium chloride. It's probably like 2 or 3 cents cheaper per liter and a little bit more readily available, right? Calcium chloride, they can just pull it straight out of the ground. Mag chloride, they have to bring in magnesium and incorporate it and doctor it up a little bit to get the concentration that high. So as far as evaluating, a lot of it we will do by looking at spots and driving around. So I mean, I have our grader operators, myself, and or our foreman and supervisor out there and taking a look at it and looking at sites, right? It's a tough one. And of course, definitely calls in. Like definitely people calling in and having concerns about it too. So I know I can drive around every year and see places where they've had good calcium year after year, and then come by, another year and like, what is going on here? I do not know. For me, I think the easiest way to compare it is like baking a cake. I can give you all the ingredients in a good oven, and you put it together and you should get a good cake. But as soon as you start shortening water or move any ingredients out of it, it just can cause a little bit of a headache, and it's tough to figure all that stuff out so it goes right. So good hot years, typically it works really well. And another key thing to it is humidity. Like humidity and fog in the air at night, it actually absorbs a lot of water and reconstitutes it again too. So even now, a lot of you'll see it polishing up a bit because we've had some pretty good fogs or low moisture to the ground. It'll actually bring it back because it wants to absorb and hold on to water. But month after month of hot and dry, it'll lose that water, get brittle and break apart. So apart from rain, dew always does it really good. And it usually helps it a little bit in the fall time too. So.
Okay, thanks. Terry, Mark?
Yeah, and I just, for council's answer about how do we define success, previous councils have identified that they want to see the program completed in a 2-week period. We're generally on that, and sometimes it takes us working on the Saturdays of a weekend to make that, so we're not truly getting a 10-day, but we're getting a 12 or maybe a 14 working day to get it completed. Timeliness of getting that down for our ratepayers. Now, a lot of people would like to see it as soon as the snow's gone and the dust starts blowing off the roads, but the truth is in the spring our roads are soft. We put all that equipment on there, we're going to do more damage than we're going to do good, and generally we have the spring rains. If we get it on too early and the rains come, it all gets diluted, it all washes away. They're not going to make it through August when harvest and things start. So the 2-week window is the one gauge. Getting it caught at the right time of season, and you know, we can't control when it rains and when it doesn't, but we generally plan to start their end of June, started July, so that we're in that window of out of the rain periods. And then the other factor, in my opinion, is I don't really care how much dust is coming off of what's been treated with dust abatement, so long as it's not the same as the untreated road. And there should be a significant difference between what's treated and what is not treated. And we do get those questions. Well, there seems to be a little bit more dust. Well, but does it look like, can you not see through it? Well, no, it's not that. So it's working. And that's the thing that reassures me that we've done our diligence. And in many cases, I think the expectation by applicants or residents that do receive it is that there is zero dust. That's never going to be the case. It'll never be the case at all unless we like pave it. And that's a completely different ball game if council wants to get in doing something else and offering something else than dust abatement. But those are my levels of determining whether we're successful. And then of course, looking at the total cost at the end of the year as to how we did with it. Because when we know, we've got the numbers behind it. If we get rain delays, you can admit it doesn't take it, but it does take longer for the crews to get going back into the routine and resume things. And we can see those little nuances in those sorts of things versus if we get that 10, 12 days where we can just get after it. We've had a couple of absolute cream of the crop years that I can't give staff kudos enough because it's just been that excellent. And yeah, cost is the other one at the end of the day.
Thanks, Mark. Kelly, you've got a question?
Just a quick question, clarity. It said that you said that you source it just north of here. Is that within the county of Newell? No. Yes.
City of Brooks.
It's in the city,
in the city of Brooks. It's just south and east of the EID's office.
Wow. Okay. And we haven't been using that all these years.
We used to use that product, but it did not meet the specifications of what we were looking after. So the goal back in the day was, in order to get to that level of calcium going down, they would be applying like 10 liters per square meter, and it would be running in the ditch. And that's not satisfactory. We are not trying to create any unnecessary environmental disasters in our region. So that was the change in things. It is discouraging, I'll say, that we didn't have more than one bidder bid on this, but I think based on historic values, we're in a good position.
Looks good. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Motion or question?
Just one really quick question. When it comes to spraying and you're applying it, is that done by the county or is that Brooks Asphalt who applies it?
That's been left to the contractor that's successful in the bid. It's not just a matter of supply of the product, it's also placement of the product. So they have their own spray trucks. So not Brooks Asphalt. They've never done this for us that I'm aware of historically, unless it was coming out of the plant here to the north.
If you're ready, I'm ready, sure. Prepared to make a motion that we award the dust abatement supply for 2023 to 2025 to NSC Minerals as recommended.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes. Post-agenda items, I think we have none. Information items are presented there for us. Any questions about those? If not, I'm going to suggest we plow through. We can go into camera. Yeah, if we have 10 minutes in camera, we're done, and I think that's sufficient for us. If you're good with that, is there a motion that we go in camera, please? Neil, please. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. We'll take a minute or two and go in camera.